C# is an object-oriented programming language developed by Microsoft Corporation as part of their .NET initiative in response to the success of Sun Microsystems' Java programming language. C# source code, as well as those of other .NET languages, is compiled into an intermediate bytecode called MSIL, Microsoft Intermediate Language. C# is primarily derived from C, C++, and Java programming languages with some features of Microsoft's Visual Basic in the mix. C# is used to develop applications for the Microsoft .NET environment. .NET offers an alternative to Java development. Microsoft's Visual Studio .NET development environment incorporates several different languages including ASP.NET, C#, C++, J#, all of which compile to the common language runtime. During the development of .NET Framework, the class libraries were originally written using managed code compiler system called Simple Managed C. In January 1999, Andreas Hillsberg formed a team to build a new language at the time called COOL, which stood for C-like object-oriented language. Microsoft had considered keeping the name COOL as the final name of the language, but chose not to do so for trademark reasons. By the time .NET Project was publicly announced at the July 2000 Professional Developers Conference, the language had been renamed C#, and the class libraries and ASP.NET runtime had been ported to C#. C#'s principal designer and lead architect at Microsoft is Andreas Hillsberg, who was previously involved with the design of Turbo Pascal, Embarcado Delphi, and Visual J++. In interviews and technical papers, he has stated that flaws in most of major programming languages drove the fundamentals of common language runtime, which in turn drove the design of C# programming language itself. James Gosling, who created Java programming language in 1994, and Billy Joy, a co-founder of Sun Microsystems, the proprietor of Java, called C# an imitation of Java. Gosling further claimed that C# is a sort of Java with reliability, productivity, and security deleted. Klaus Kreft and Anglika Langer, authors of C++ Streams book, stated in a blog post that Java, C# are almost identical programming languages. Andreas Hillsberg has argued that C# is not a Java clone and is much closer to C++ in its design. C# language is intended to be simple, modern, general-purpose, object-oriented programming language. The language and implementations thereof should provide support for software engineering principles such as strong type checking, array bounds checking, detection of attempts to use uninitialized variables, and automatic garbage collection. Software robustness, durability, and programmer productivity are important. The language is intended for use in developing software components suitable for deployment in distributed environments. C# is intended to be suitable for writing applications for both hosted and embedded systems, ranging from very large that use sophisticated operating systems down to very small having dedicated functions. Although C# applications are intended to be economical with regard to memory and processing power requirements, the language was not intended to compete directly on performance and size with C or assembly language. C# version 3.0 introduces several language extensions to support higher-order functional style class libraries. The extensions enable the construction of compositional APIs with the expressive power of query languages in areas such as relational databases and XML. Microsoft C# developers note that C# 3.0 is bytecode compatible with C# version 2.0. For the most part, enhancements comprise purely syntactic or compile time improvements. For example, many of the most common integrated queries can already be implemented using anonymous delegates in combination with predicate-based container methods such as list.findAll and list.removeAll. PHP is an HTML embedded scripting language primarily used for dynamic web applications. The first part of this definition means that PHP code can be interposed with HTML, making it simple to generate dynamic pieces of web pages on the fly. As a scripting language, PHP code requires the presence of PHP processor. PHP code is normally run in plain text scripts and that will only run on PHP-enabled computers. PHP takes most of its syntax from C, Java, and Perl. It is an open source technology and runs on most of operating systems and with most web servers. PHP was written in the C programming language by Rasmus Lerdof in 1994 for use in monitoring his online resume and related personal information. For this reason, PHP originally stood for Personal Homepage. Lerdof combined PHP with his own form interpreter, releasing the combination publicly as PHP FI on June 8, 1995. Two programmers, Zeev Suraski and Andy, rebuilt PHP's core, releasing the updated result as PHP FI2 in 1997. The acronym was formally changed to PHP Hypertext Preprocessor at this time. In 1998, PHP 3 was released, which was the first widely used PHP version. PHP 4 was released in May 2000 with a new core known as Zend Engine 1.0. PHP 4 featured improved speed and reliability of PHP 3. In terms of features, PHP 4 added references, the Boolean type, COM support on Windows, output buffering, many new array functions, expanded object-oriented programming, inclusion of the PCRV library, and more. Maintenance releases of PHP 4 are still available, primarily for security updates. PHP 5 was released in July 2004 with the updated Zend Engine 2.0. PHP currently does not have native support for Unicode or multi-byte strings. Unicode support will be included in PHP 6 and will allow strings as well as class, method, and function names to contain non-ASCII characters. PHP interpreters are available on both 32-bit and 64-bit operating systems, but on Microsoft Windows, the only official distribution is 32-bit implementation, requiring Windows 32-bit compatibility mode while using Internet Information Services (IIS) on a 64-bit Windows platform. As of PHP 5.3.0, experimental 64-bit versions are available for Microsoft Windows. PHP is a language used in the web tier of applications, originating as a scripting language to put together simple HTML code that is sent to the browser for rendering. It has grown over the years to acquire more sophisticated functionality, much improved performance, and a considerably expanded base of developers. PHP, for example, now features an object model that has been improved and expanded in several releases. While new programming languages, especially for web tier client or server development, have continued to emerge, we have seen PHP pull away from other scripting languages such as Perl, Python, or Ruby as the most frequently used scripting language on the server side of web applications. Despite being derided for the difficulty of writing maintainable applications for its interpreted performance compared with compiled languages such as Java, or the lack of strong integrated development environments (IDEs) available for it, PHP has continued to increase in popularity. This can happen to simple languages that grow progressively more sophisticated, attracting an ever larger community of developers and applications, but it can be amplified for open source processes that allow creative contributions from a broad base of interested developers. Studies conducted over the past 5 years have regularly shown that PHP is the language spoken by largest number of web developers. This critical mass dynamic has led to an active community that has evolved PHP in a vigorous manner and in an ecosystem of both open source and commercial add-ons, including better frameworks and IDEs.